Well, good morning everybody. It's the 22nd January 2022. I'll try and make this relatively brief. I've been advised by phone on Queensland Rail as to what is going on at the moment in relation to cancelling trains, and that is, and it's announced by the media as well, that due to staff shortages and people getting coronavirus, Omicrons, whatever they're getting, right, that they have to isolate for 7 days. And they can't go to work. It could be train drivers, it could be on-train staff, it could be station staff, whatever. So what they decided to do was to cancel the Brisbane to Charleville Westlander and the Townsville to Mount Isa Inlander trains completely, and have the Spirit of the Outback train running only once a week, Saturdays out of Brisbane, Sunday into Longreach, Monday out of Longreach, and then Tuesday back into Brisbane. Now I discussed that with the person from QR. I said, well, what about the buses? Can't people use their free passes on the buses? And no. Can't in other words, seniors get a half fare on the bus? The answer is no. The QR spokesman said to me, they find their own way. In other words, they pay the full fare basically on the private bus operations around Queensland. Well, okay, what I've got to do is rely upon our other reports from people as to what's happened with this Spirit of the Outback train in relation to whether Car C is operating, as it had been cut out. And I should mention, for those who don't know, especially overseas friends, that the lounge car that I showed is not operating at the moment in any case because it's being refurbished, I understand. It's only relatively recently been done up. These carriages are 1980s in construction, and they're pretty good actually. And here's a shot, incidentally, of the dining car on the train, known as the Tucker Box restaurant. Now, I discussed, as I said, the trains and the bus services that are operating in Queensland and why they're not being used, I don't know. But what I suspect is that they'll use this as an excuse and to cut those two trains out, the Westlander and the Inlander. And I think they'll put the Spirit of the Outback back on twice a week. And of course they have uninterrupted the Spirit of Queensland, which runs from Brisbane to Cairns, is still going. But I would never be surprised if the bus companies were given the opportunity to coordinate with the trains and carry the former rail passengers free if they're pensioners, or half fare if they're seniors, and Queensland Rail would pay the fares, in other words. I'm not advocating that. I want the trains back, and I'd prefer to have a sleeping car than a sitting car on an overnight train anyway, by the way. But I just thought I'd mention some of these things, and we don't know how long this is going to go on for. And also for my overseas friends, the XPT train from Sydney to Brisbane no longer operates into Brisbane and won't do so till March. And indeed these train cutbacks that I'm talking about, Westlander and Inlander, and the weekly service cutback on the Spirit of the Outback will run till at least the end of March. So anyone contemplating travel in Queensland should perhaps put that off for a few months and maybe consider later in the year, maybe September, October or so, as they should, we hope, be operating. But nobody knows, and nobody can tell you, in other words. So just thought I'd give a bit of an outline on that. And as I was saying, if they allowed the coach companies to operate and connected with the train, in other words, every day out of Townsville to Mount Isa and vice versa, and connected with the train, that wouldn't be so bad because it's a 12-hour run compared to 21 hours on the train. and Brisbane-Charleville is pretty good. It's twice a day service. So as I said, although I'm not advocating it, I would say that it might end up going that direction, and that we'll have our free passes and and half fare on the train and so on, and the buses. I can't predict when that would occur, but it may well be this year. So just thought I'd give the update, and thanks for viewing.